A woman declared dead knocks on her coffin during her own wake. Los Angeles residents are fed up after receiving many free food deliveries. And boats are being attacked by orcas. One ship captain has a theory. These are the weird stories for Wednesday on Weird AF News, the only daily weird news podcast in the universe. I have 3 weird stories from all over the world for you. Let's do it. A woman declared dead knocks on her own coffin during her own wake. This story is from Ecuador. A 76-year-old woman who was declared dead at a hospital in Ecuador astonished her relatives by knocking on her own coffin during her wake. The incident has prompted a government investigation into the hospital. Yeah, how does this hospital issue a death certificate? Well, she's not snoring. She must be dead. And I take it they don't practice embalming in Ecuador? Is that what's going on? Because I don't think you could survive an embalmment. That's just me. I don't know much about the technology of the dead. You might want to investigate the funeral home while you're at it, who clearly can't recognize a dead individual. I assume they don't have a freezer over at the funeral home. We have here a quote from the woman's son, Gilberto. "It gave us all a fright." Yeah, I'll bet it gave you a fright. Your mom wakes up out of her coffin. She's like, ta-da! And then you're wondering, is this a zombie or is this my mom? Now we have Ecuador's health ministry getting involved. They say that Montoya, the dead woman, was in intensive care at the Martin Icaza Hospital in Babahoyo, while the ministry investigates doctors involved in her case. A technical committee has been formed to review how the hospital issues death certificates, the ministry said in a statement. I don't trust these doctors anyways. They're terrible. I remember when I had an endoscopy, an upper endoscopy, is it called? They put a camera in my stomach to check out what was going on in there. When I left the procedure, they gave me an envelope. When I got home, I opened the envelope. It's photos of the inside of my stomach. Then my follow-up appointment with my doctor was a couple weeks after that. I brought them to the follow-up appointment. My doctor said, "How did you get those?" I said, "They gave it to me at the medical center when I left." He said, "They're not supposed to do that." And I had wished they did not do that because I spent 2 weeks just looking on Google, looking up what does a healthy inside of a stomach look like, and then comparing it to the photos of my stomach, freaking out that I saw a yellow spot. I didn't know what that was. I'm Googling all this. Anyways, my point is doctors and medical centers cannot be trusted, and they all should be investigated. Now, back to the story here. The son says his mother was unconscious when she was brought to the emergency room after having what they thought was a possible stroke. A few hours later, a doctor at the medical center informed the son that she was dead and handed over identity documents and a death certificate. The family then brought her to a funeral home and were holding a wake later Friday when they started to hear strange sounds. What is that knocking? It's not coming from the door, I can tell you that. Well, let's all be grateful that they discovered this above ground rather than underground. Now, at the funeral, there are about 20 relatives there, according to the son, who said, "After about 5 hours of the wake, the coffin started to make some sounds. My mom was wrapped in sheets and hitting the coffin. She was hitting the coffin, and when we approached, we could see she was breathing very heavily." Now, I suppose the irony of all this is that it happened at a wake. Many years ago, a wake had a purpose similar to this, where you would sit with the body for a number of days in case it did wake up, because back in the day, they weren't sure you were really dead. They thought you might be dead, but they didn't have the science that they have now, which apparently isn't being used in this Ecuadorian medical center. They even used to have grave bells. Are you familiar with grave bells? They would bury you with a string inside your coffin. The string went to a bell that was hung on your grave. In case the deceased should wake up, they would ring the bell. And then people who worked, quote, the graveyard shift would be able to go rescue you out of your coffin. This is where the phrase "saved by the bell" comes from as well. Are you aware of this? I'm teaching you guys. This is a teaching moment. Now, you would think such things would never happen, but clearly they do, and not just in Ecuador. It's happened in the U.S. A similar incident happened in December in Iowa. A care facility mistakenly pronounced a 66-year-old resident dead and had her transported to a funeral home where she woke up gasping for air, quote. In 2020, a young woman also was declared dead at her Detroit home. She opened her eyes at a funeral home just as she was about to be embalmed in the nick of time. Of course, as Often, my stories remind me of scenes from Monty Python. Bring out your dead. Well, I'm not dead yet. Well, yes, you are. No, I feel like going for a walk. Well, no, you'll be dead soon enough. Los Angeles residents are fed up after months of receiving free food deliveries. It's rare that you'll ever find someone complaining about some free grub, but residents of one Los Angeles neighborhood are completely fed up with the unsolicited free Uber Eats deliveries they've received from McDonald's and other restaurants. According to the reports from the LA Times, residents of Rangeview Avenue in the Highland Park neighborhood of Los Angeles are very perplexed, confused, and annoyed following months of random Uber Eats deliveries to their residents. Now, although orders have included everything from Starbucks iced matcha tea lattes to bottles of water, McDonald's seems to be a favorite among the individual or individuals behind this delivery debacle. While it's typically hard to resist the allure of Mickey D's irresistibly savory fries, one woman received 3 deliveries of just a single order of McDonald's fries. Wow, it's almost as though someone's messing with your mind. Another resident in the same neighborhood, well, it's just random people in the same neighborhood, not just one resident, multiple. Another resident says they received 13 orders over a 2-day span, and that the deliveries are, quote, half funny and half really annoying. It would never be annoying to me. I would find it, I would welcome it with open arms. Let's just say that, whatever it was. So far, there are no leads on who exactly is behind the anonymous deliveries. Can't you just contact Uber and find out what's going on here? It says residents have thrown around everything from Uber Eats promotions to credit card fraud, possibly. Here's a quote from Richie, a resident who has also received numerous deliveries. Well, I think it's low-grade criminals trying to scam credit cards and see if they work. That's what I think. It says here Uber is currently aware of these deliveries and is doing their own investigating. Here's a quote from Uber. The reports of unsolicited deliveries are very concerning to our company. We have banned accounts related to recent orders in Highland Park and continue to take action. Uber has a dedicated public safety team that is standing by to work with the police as well. Well, there goes your free food, you dummies, your free matcha lattes in the morning. What's wrong with you? Why would you snitch on this situation? I'd be so angry at my neighbor that complained about the free McDonald's fries that were coming every day. I mean, come on, man. We're all enjoying some free food at a time of inflation. Have you noticed the price of food? Are you unaware, Highland Park? Highland Park's like people got money in Highland Park. No wonder why they're like, oh, this is annoying. None of this food being delivered is gluten-free, man. It's not organic. And you know, these chicken nuggets are far from free range. I don't eat such things, okay? I live in Highland Park. If they could just drop off some smoothies or wheatgrass shots, then I'd be pleased. I mean, of all the things you could do about getting free food deliveries, free beverage deliveries, you complain? I mean, eat some of it and give the others to the homeless people in the neighborhoods. I mean, figure something out, man. It's like, it's free stuff. People are so bizarre to me. By the way, if you guys want to send me free things, I'm open to it. Just email me, funnyjones@gmail.com. Yay! Want to create a podcast? Spotify's platform lets you easily make, record, and distribute a podcast everywhere, even earn money all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters. Record and edit on your phone or your computer, distribute it to Spotify and everywhere podcasts are heard. They even have video podcasting options. Spotify for Podcasters allows you to earn money with ads and subscriptions as well. Best of all, as I said, free. Try it. Download Spotify for Podcasters or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started. And good luck with your podcast. Good luck with your life, man. A ship captain is fed up with the attacks by the orcas. A sailor has been ambushed twice by the same pod of orcas. The sailor says these killer whales are refining their strategy and getting very clever. This comes amid a very concerning rise in orca attacks on boats along the Strait of Gibraltar, which separates Europe from Africa. Perhaps you've heard about these orca attacks. They're tipping over boats, apparently. In this story, we have a Captain Dan Kriz, who is a delivery skipper. Oh, they still call him skippers? That's great. Gilligan, little buddy. He's a delivery skipper with the company Reliance Yacht Management and has over 20 years of experience as being a skipper. Yeah, I got 20 years of skipper experience, and I don't mean skipping down the street. He had his first orca encounter in 2020. He's got some experience with these orcas. Here's a quote from Captain Dan. I was sailing me delivery crew through the Strait of Gibraltar, delivering a yacht, when I was surrounded by a pack of 8 orcas, pushing the boat around for about an hour. Oh, yes, we were one of the first boats experiencing this very unusual orca's behavior. I get very triggered when I'm around pods of orcas because I lost me leg and me eye in an orca incident when I was caught in a dinghy in a storm. Sorry. It says here, the orcas caused significant damage to the ship's rudder. And Skipper Chris and his crew had to be towed to the nearest marina in Barbate, Spain. 3 years later, 2023, the orcas made their second appearance. While delivering a catamaran for the Catamaran Guru Company, the same pack of orcas appeared out of nowhere, according to Chris. Skipper Chris recognized this same pack of orcas. I don't know how. There's got to be multiple packs of orcas, and they all look the same, right? How does this guy know? We were about to cross shipping lines, and turn south to Canary Islands, when we felt like we got hit bad with a wave. But with the second hit, we realized that the same situation from 2020 was happening. My first reaction was, please, not again. I get very triggered. Wasn't much we could do on that stormy day. Orcas are a very powerful and smart animal. So smart, in fact, that they seem to have developed their strategy since Chris's first encounter in 2020. First time we could hear them communicating under the boat. This time they were quiet. Didn't take them long to destroy both of our rudders. Looks like they knew exactly what they were doing. They didn't touch anything else but the rudders. Yeah, it turns out these orcas are targeting rudders specifically, slamming your rudder so that you can't go nowhere, and then they take off after they finish the job, it seems. Exactly why these orcas are targeting ships is unclear, but researchers have some theories. One is that a single revenge-bent female has taught the others how to attack ships after being injured by one in the past herself, but not everyone is convinced by this theory. A sea captain named Sebastian says, well, they could crush the boat in a heartbeat if they wanted to, but they're not that aggressive. They're not wanting to have a piece of you. Instead, Captain Sebastian believes the orcas might be using their boats to teach their young how to hunt. Well, if I was a parent orca, I'm not going to touch my living stock because my living stock is low, so why not just train them how to attack on the boats? For them, the rudder kind of looks like a fin. It moves like a fin, and you can play and push and grab it, and as soon as the rudder is destroyed, these orcas just disappear. Now, this theory is consistent with Skipper Chris's own experiences, where both times the orcas have exclusively targeted the ship's rudders. Unfortunately, stories about mother orcas taking their young out for a hunting lesson do not spread as quickly as fear over predatory revenge. As a result, many sailors are arming themselves with guns and other weapons in order to defend their ships. Good luck with that. Skipper Chris is strongly against causing any harm to these animals, he says. Bottom line, matey, is we are in their territory, aren't we? And I think the other bottom line might be they're just tired of humans just overfishing the oceans. Now, that's taking away their food, is it not? Yeah, and they're smart enough to know this, probably. They're smart enough to communicate and coordinate attacks on humans. It all makes sense to me, guys. Hey, thanks for joining me for another episode of Weird AF News, the only daily weird news podcast in existence. And I wouldn't be anywhere without my loyal listeners, so I appreciate you guys hanging out every morning, afternoon, evening with me, whenever it might be. And if you could do me a big solid and tell a friend about Weird AF News, I'd really appreciate it. I got a nice DM from Desiree Hubbs. Desiree wrote, I'm listening to you as I write this, Jonesy. Thank you for being original in a painfully ordinary world. Your news reminds me that there is a lighter side to everything, and it's not what you say, but how you say it. We may not be able to fix all the world's problems, especially not in Florida, LOL, but we can certainly find a way to laugh about it later. Good luck with your life, man. That's a very sweet message from Desiree, so shout out for her. I appreciate you taking the time to write me. Those kinds of messages just make me feel amazing, and it sort of reminds me of why I'm doing this. and that is to bring some people enjoyment, and but also teach about the weird world that we live in, and to warn people about Florida. It's very important that you warn people, because some people in other countries they weren't sure what Florida was all about until Weird AF News came around, and now they know. Now they know not to go there. Sorry, Florida. I got to pick on you a little bit. Anyways, if you'd like to support the show in other ways, you can check out weirdafnews.com, the official website, and there's some things you can do on there. You can send me a weird news story, and you can buy me a coffee or join the Patreon as well. If you want to email me anything, it's funnyjones@gmail.com, and we have a phone number, 646-450-2012. Feel free to leave me a nice voicemail or a bad voicemail, whatever you want to do.